Hey all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jillian. I'm so glad you are here watching this video. I'm sorry, this is like, oh, okay, I'm really bad at this. Don't judge. So today I thought I would go ahead and share with you some babysitting tips for those of you who are starting to babysit or just need a little bit of like help. You know what that means? Tip number one is to only do things you are comfortable with. So even if the mom or parents are saying something that you could do something, if you are not exactly comfortable, especially like if you know the kids and you know that they aren't going to behave or they don't usually behave in this type of setting, you don't have to do that with them. And I don't like push it to where you're like really uncomfortable and you're really uncertain, because it will reflect on like the kid and stuff, and you just don't want anything bad to happen. So like for example, like painting, if you know the kid's like really messy and like, you know, they're just gonna make a really big mess, painting may not be something you're comfortable with. Or like playing outside, if you know that the kid doesn't listen, maybe it's not a good idea to like play outside where they could just run into the street. So yeah, just make sure that you are comfortable with everything you are doing, and if you're not, you don't have to do it. You are basically in charge during that time. The second tip is ask the parents any questions or concerns you have, and that was a hard one for me because I just didn't want them to think like it's very low or like I didn't know or I wasn't good enough to like do this myself. But if you have a question to ask them, like, are you okay if we play outside? Or are you okay if the kid has a popsicle? Or are you okay with painting? Stuff like that. I keep making these examples because that's like what I did. And sometimes it's really hard because you don't know every single tiny rule in the house that the parents have. So sometimes it's a little bit hard. But any concerns too. So maybe like if you see a kid doing something and you tell them no, let's wait till mom gets home or whatever, make sure you address that with the parents. Just be as much communication between you all as possible. So like if the kid is being bad, not bad, we don't say bad, but being naughty, make sure you tell the parents. It just helps it out. I mean, if they make a little mistake, you don't have to tell them, but like if they were like extremely, tell the parents. I swear it will. The third tip I have for y'all is to be active with the kid. And when I don't mean like running around and stuff like that, but if the kid is playing, play with them. You know, if the kid is sitting on the floor, you sit on the floor with them. If the kid is watching TV, which I know some parents don't want them to and parents don't want you to, obviously don't, but if it's allowed, okay, whatever, do that. But yeah, be active with the kid. Do it, not necessarily what they want to do, but like if they want to play, let them play type thing, you know what I mean? And you need to play with them. If they want to eat in the dining room, you need to sit in the dining room with them. And so yeah, don't just like let the kid do it by themselves. You are there for a reason, not only to watch the kid but to play with the kid too, so make sure you are playing with them. My fourth tip for y'all is to give the child the rules before the activity. So for example, if you're going to play hide and seek, give them the rules before you start. For example, like we're only going to hide in the living room, the kitchen, and the dining room, and we're not going to climb in cabinets, we're not going to turn on the water, stuff like that, you know what I mean? Rules like if you're going to play outside, we're only going to stay in the driveway, or we're only going to stay in the grass in the backyard, and we're not going to turn on the water, we're not going to dig through this stuff and go through that. So make sure that you are giving the rules before that. Same thing with like if you're gonna paint or something, make sure you are saying we're only going to use the paint on the paper. You know, painting rules. And then my fifth tip is going to be to reinforce those rules and give your reinforce the rules and your limits. So reinforcing rules, obviously, like if they're starting to like not wanting to paint on the paper anymore, tell them we're gonna have to paint on the paper. You need to remember we only paint on the paper. And if they're still like no, like I want to paint on something else, tell them if you paint on something else, we're not going to be painting anymore, and that usually works. Also, another thing that I've seen is that, like, George, George Pig from Peppa Pig is blue, and so one of the kids I babysat for, she thought a blue color marker, she could just go draw on it, just like, because, like, a blue color marker and a blue shirt thingy on him. And so make sure that you are paying attention to that, and make sure you are listening to them, because stuff like that, she was like, this is blue, and I'm gonna go paint on Georgie because he's blue, and I was just like, no. So make sure that you do that. Tip number 6 is to always watch the child or to follow them. So what I mean by this is, like, you still have to pick up after them and stuff like that. So something like, when you are picking up, make sure that you can still see the child. When, like, I'm washing some dishes or whatever, make sure that I can still see the child, and I'm telling her, go play in here for a few minutes while I finish cleaning up, or you can make them do that. Also, if they go upstairs, follow them upstairs. If they go down the hall, go through the hall with them. Another thing, if they go into a room and they shut the door, I don't care how much they scream, that means they are getting into mischief. So make sure that you never leave them in a room alone, especially with a closed door, because bad things will happen. Trust me, I know. Tip number 7 is just to be gentle, not to yell at them, not to be so aggressive about it, and don't, like, be so fierce, or what should I be, like, don't be, like, so pushy. I don't know how to, like, you all know what I mean though. Like, be gentle, be calm with them, and when they are not being naughty, don't yell at them, and don't put hands on them, but don't, like, smack them or it's gonna hurt them. But if you have to, depending on, like, what the parents tell you or stuff, if you have to grab the child's hand just to say, no, we're not going to, like, they're about to touch something, do that, but don't be, like, slapping them and hurting them type thing. And same thing with yelling, just don't yell at them, it will make the situation a lot worse. Tip number 8 is to don't give up the rules, and this is really hard for, like, today. She was just being so bad and naughty, sorry, I'm not supposed to say no one's bad. She was being so naughty, and I was just to the point where, like, you're not supposed to give up the rules and just, like, you clean up the mess for them, or you just do it for them and just move on. But I was just having, like, enough. I didn't know what to do anymore, and so just don't give up the rules. If you say we're not going to play with the cars until you pick up the blocks, don't play with the cars. Make sure that they are not playing with the cars, and if they do, take it away from them until they pick it up. And even if it takes 30 minutes for them to pick up the blocks, don't pick it up for them. You can help them to say, I'll help you. I'll pick up the yellow and the red ones, you pick up the blue and the green ones. Yeah, just don't give up, because they're going to use that against you for every single time. They're going to know that, like, after a few minutes, you'll just do it for them. So do not Alright, y'all, so I hope y'all enjoy. I have a lot more tips for y'all, but that's just some of them that I wanted to share with y'all. For those of you who are starting to babysit just like I am, I have a lot of stories too that I can make one day without using, like, personal information, story times, because there's a lot, but I'm getting a lot of experience, so I really hope that this helps you in your journey of being a babysitter. I am so sorry about the lighting. The lights on, it just looked really bad, so I just had the lights off, and I'm sorry I'm, like, blinking a lot. I have, like, a light shining behind the camera to, like, yeah, you know? And what else? Oh, I move a lot with my hands. It's just kind of a little thing I do, if you know what I mean. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.